And good evening, everybody. Welcome to a Wednesday edition of We Got Next. I'm Rickey Hampton, along with former Milwaukee Bucks center Paul Mokeski. Hope everybody's having a great week. We're Hump Day. Mo, it's good to see you, man. A lot to talk about tonight. And we want to welcome everybody out there. Welcome your questions and comments. And don't forget, you can watch this, listen to this, and all our past shows on the Believe.com network. That's BLEAV.com. Anywhere you get your favorite podcast, go there and look for We Got Next, Paul Mokeski and Rickey Hampton. What's up, Coach Mo?
Melting here in Las Vegas, man. It's the real July, 110, 112. This is what you put up with to get the 60 degrees in January. So, but it's hot.
Absolutely. But all odds in the sports world are really on Vegas with the NBA Summer League in town. And Mo, how has the Summer League grown from the time you played and coached to where it is today?
Well, and you're right. The NBA Summer League is here. The WNBA All Star Game is here this weekend. There's international teams from all over the world in here. It's crazy. And if you go anywhere, at a restaurant or a casino around the strip, you're going to run into somebody that you know or recognize. I know you know this guy. I was at the game the other day, and I'm looking at this gentleman with a nice looking mustache, and gray hair, Mike Abdenauer, former trainer of the Detroit Pistons.
Yes, sir.
I hadn't seen him for 50 years, and I ran into him at one of the games.
Was Mike here when you were here, Mo, in
Yes,
Detroit?
Mike. Yep. Yeah, Mike was the trainer, and then years later, when I went to Golden State, his brother was the trainer in Golden State.
And and guys like Mike Abdenauer were valuable, especially back then when the technology wasn't quite what we have today. Yeah, I remember when Antonio McDyess came to Detroit, and McDyess had all these injury problems. He had none of that once he got to Detroit, and Mike got a lot of credit for keeping Antonio up and able to play 20, 25 minutes a night.
Well, back then you had a trainer like Mike, and they also double as a travel agent usually, and they probably had one volunteer trainer with them, like for games and stuff, to help with the ice bags and all the injuries and stuff. You look at the NBA now. There's a trainer, assistant trainer full time, three other trainers. There's a strength and conditioning guy, coach, and there's all these guys. And back then, the trainer was everything and all rolled up in one. But they had a lot of responsibility, and it was great seeing him. Guys like that. He's got, I think, 3 championship rings. I think something like that. But back to the summer league. I mean, when I played my rookie and second year in the league, I played in the NBA Summer League. It was in LA. It was at Cal State LA. We played at Cal State LA. Then it moved to Loyola Marymount in California, outside of LA. And then it moved here to Las Vegas, and it was really good for a while. But then there was a big slump, and I think there was a summer league in Utah. There still is, and there was one in Denver, I think, kind of mucked up the attendance. But now Warren LeGarry, who's a former player agent, current agent of coaches and general managers in the NBA, he and his partner took it over probably 10, maybe 15 years ago, and it's become an event. I mean, I went to the game Friday. There were 17,000 people in the arena. Looking to see Wembanyama, but the next night for the Lakers, somebody else, there was 12,000 people in that arena, and there's also another gym. So it's a big event. It's on TV. It's on ESPN right now. We just saw the Pistons play a little while ago, and there's sponsorship, but there's people going all the time. And I told you, you're a sports fan, and so is your son. Coming here, I think it's $60 now for a day pass, but you get to see, I think, 6 to 8 games if you want,
Yeah.
and it's first come, first serve seating. So if you get there early, you can get really close down on the court. It's the same price. The price you pay for an upper deck is the same price. You get here down early, and I saw tons of kids, lots of kids getting autographs from summer league guys like Wimbyamba and Miller and Grady Dick. They got their basketballs and their hats and their shoes, but also there's so many NBA players here now, current players. Kyrie Irving was here, Klay Thompson was here, Mitchell. All these NBA guys are here coming to support their teams and watch. And guess who gets their autographs? All the kids that are there. It's pretty.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. It's exciting.
Yeah, I mean, it is really. I mean, you're absolutely right. It is really growing. I remember you could go out when I'd be out in LA. I'd go out to Loyola Marymount to the game, and it was such a laid back thing. But in that little gym, all these outstanding NBA players were just out there hooping. But like everything else, man, with TV and the marketing that goes on now, it is really grown. Hey, no, go ahead.
Warren Legary and his partner really a lot of energy and effort, and they do it first class. Everything is, stats and TV and cameras, and everything's organized and right on point. So, they've come a long way. I mean, I was talking to, I think, Matt Calvin, who played in the ABA. We've had him on our show. And I remember seeing him and Paul Westphal and players like that at Cal State LA at the NBA Summer League. When I was in high school, I played in what they called the Olympic Summer League. And that was high school players from the area. We got to play before their games. So we would play before their games. And we're talking about guys, it was me, Bill Laimbeer, Reggie Theus, David Greenwood, Roy Hamilton, Brad Holland, Bill Cartwright. All of us played in that when we were high school kids. And then we got to stay and watch Paul Westphal and Matt Calvin and those guys play. And after the game, it was awesome because when we turned in our Olympic Summer League jersey and uniform, we got a free hot dog and a Coke to watch the game with. That was big time. That was big right then.
Hey, Mo, back then when they had the summer leagues, could college players play with the pros?
No, it wasn't a pro.
Okay,
okay. But back then it wasn't. It was some of the young guys, but it was a lot of the older guys that wanted to keep in shape and have something to do for about a month in the summer. Because back then there weren't personal trainers and strength and conditioning guys and nutritionists. So as a pro, you had to find some way to keep in shape. And when you're in the NBA and you're looking for a good game or pickup game to play, and they're hard to find. You got to get with a good group of players, talented and guys that know how to play. So the NBA Summer League back then was somewhere where like Paul Westphal or even Rick Barry or guys like that could play in there with refs. Everybody knows how to play. They're pros. No one's trying to hurt anybody, and that was valuable.
I guess when you're an NBA player, if you just try to walk in a gym and get a game, they're gonna recognize who you are. Oh, that's Paul Mokeski of the Bucks. I'm gonna go at this dude.
Yeah, I mean that's okay too. Bring it on. But the problem is half those guys don't know how to play, so they might accidentally hurt you without trying. Being in the wrong place at the wrong time, stepping on your ankle. That was the worries.
Right, absolutely. Hey, what have been your impressions so far of the first week of summer league?
Well, obviously, Wembyamba is the talk of the town. The 7'5", 8-foot arm span. Everybody wanted to see him, and a lot of people did. I was in that arena with Linda, my wife, and Michael, our son, and there were 17,000 people watching that game, The first game he struggled. He had, I think, 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 6 block shots, which I told you before. His impact is going to be on the defensive end more than the offensive end right off the bat. But he looked out of sorts. He looked really, really out of condition. They only played him 3 or 4 minutes at a time, and he was out of breath. And but then I think he got his legs under him, and you can see him right here. In the second game, he was more aggressive, especially on the rebounding end and finishing with dunks underneath. He hit a couple. He hit a couple threes, a couple turnarounds, blocked a couple shots, ran the floor like that. I think he felt more comfortable, and the team felt more comfortable around him. Let's face it. So you're going into a summer league, and you got Wembanyama, the first pick in the draft, playing with the Spurs, and he's a little nervous. And there's 17,000 people there. There's movie stars and artists and NBA players. Kareem was he was there. Kareem was in courtside, but you think about how nervous he might be. What about his teammates, who are just trying to make the team, just trying to get invited to training camp? And now all of a sudden they're playing in front of 17,000 people and on a nationally televised game. So that first game was a struggle for all of them. But the second one showed kind of, where he's at and what he can do. He's not very strong, but he's got great touch. He's long as heck. He's got a good basketball IQ. He's not afraid. There's a nice duck in right there and a little turnaround, which he needs to use more. In the first game, he tried to dribble too much, and guys were pushing him down and taking it. In this second game, just like you saw there, he just turned around and shoot it. And he's got great touch. So, it's going to take time. He's going to have ups and downs in the season. But he has this stroke. He's got a nice shot. He's going to have great games, and he's going to have bad games. Those 2 games are what he's going to see this year. He's going to see 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 fouls. And then he's going to have 27 points and 12 rebounds and 5 blocks. And it's just going to go like that the whole season until, and then after about 60 games, he's going to run into a wall. He's going to be tired and exhausted. And, and they're probably going to ask him to play in the rookie sophomore game and stuff like that, which if I was him, I would rest and finish out the season. But, he's got a great situation. He's in a small market in San Antonio. He's got a great group of people around him, including Tim Duncan and David Robinson and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker, that are all there. And, the old wizard, the grand wizard of them all, Coach Popovich, just signed a 5-year, $80 million deal. So he's going to be there for the long run. So they're in no hurry. They'll take their time.
Well, he caused a little, he raised some eyebrows with his comments after the game. Talking about the style of play in the NBA Summer League compared to playing in France. He said the court is more open, it's going fast, but it's less physical. I get fouled a lot, but not as much. Here players are just flying around out there. It's more out there, and it's more on the ground with big box outs, talking about France. Here's great athletes and the best in the world, way more talent, and I like this better. But he said the NBA is less physical than Europe, and as a 12-year veteran of the NBA, what is your response to that?
Well, not only am I a 12-year veteran of the NBA and I coach in the NBA, I also coach at the highest level internationally with the Jamaican national team and the Great Britain national team, including the 2012 Olympics, including playing against teams like Lithuania, Russia, Spain, France, Australia, all the top international teams. And I can understand kind of where he's coming from. The international game is slower pace. They're slower, which creates more half-court basketball. But it's interesting, in the FIBA game and international, if you can get more physical as a guard than you can as a big, it seems like. And that's kind of been the trend. Luka in Dallas had said the same thing a couple of years ago. He likes playing in the NBA a lot more. It's less physical for him. I don't agree with that. I don't think it's less physical. I think it's different kind of physical. There's bigger players, more talented, longer, more athletic in the NBA. Not even close. In international, he's playing in France. On every team at the highest level in France, there's 3 or 4 high level players. Then there's 3 or 4 guys that play that are mid-level Europe players. So they wouldn't make an NBA roster. The physicality is different. However, I would caution him because guess what? You haven't played a game in the NBA yet. You don't know. You don't know. I'm going to tell you, Wemby, let me tell you, the NBA Summer League is not the NBA. Let me tell you that right now. So just understand that someone needs to start talking to him, not only about some of his play, stop dribbling so much in the post, but about what he says after games. Because after the first game when he struggled, he said, I was lost out there. I didn't know what I was doing. You can think that way, but don't say it at a press conference. So that means either you don't know how to play or the coaching staff's not doing a good enough job to teach you how to play when you don't know what you're doing. So that's the wrong thing to say. You can think that and work on that, but you don't want to say that. And then he comes out with this physical thing. NBA's less physical. Bull crap. You'll see. Yeah, let me see when you play the Joker how less physical it is, or Embiid, or anybody. Let me see when LeBron comes down the lane like a freight train and dunks on your head, and you tell me how less physical it is.
I love what you said. You don't know because you haven't played an NBA game.
This isn't the NBA. All these guys, besides, I would think 2 players on every team will make a roster in the NBA. That's it. All the other guys, they're not going to play in the NBA. They might be in the G League. They might be overseas. They're not NBA players, at least not yet.
Yeah. Hey, we got a question.
Here, let me tell you this. That's like you having a really good round at your local golf course, and they say, you know what? Oh no, that's like you having a good round at Pebble Beach. Ricky, you're hitting the crap out of the ball, and you shoot a 79 or an 80, and you're feeling great. You know what? Pebble Beach isn't as hard as my local course. I don't understand why it's not that hard. Come on, man.
Exactly. If I broke 80 at Pebble Beach, I'd be so proud.
And then afterwards, someone asked you, "Hey Ricky, how was it?" Well, that was a lot easier than my local course.
Yeah. Hey, Terrence Mullins checking in. What's up, Terrence? How you doing, man? He has questions, Mo. He says, what are your thoughts on Lillard asking for a trade, and where do you think he'll end up?
That's I'll tell you, Terrence, I like the wording of that. He's asking for a trade, as opposed to some people, James Harden, that have demanded trades. That's a different language. And if you've done what he's done for Portland, you're allowed to ask for a trade and ask to go to the right place. Now, I don't agree with him limiting, I want to go to Miami. Okay, I want to go to Miami, but you can't just go to Miami. First of all, it might not fit financially or with the team, and but I have mixed feelings about that. Let's face it, Portland's not going to be in the serious playoff race. They're not going to contend for a Western Conference title. They're just not. They're not good enough. They haven't been good enough. Damian Lillard is one of the best guards in the league. You put him on any team, and they become contenders with the way he can score and control a game. However, you don't want to make a trade if you're Miami or whoever and give up the farm. And now all of a sudden, Damian Lillard's coming to your team, but you gave away 3 of your starters, so you don't have a good team anyway. You look like the Clippers. So, I think, asking for a trade, that's legit. Demanding a trade, I don't like when players do that or say that. It's time for him. If he wants to go to get a chance at winning and getting a championship, he definitely needs to go somewhere else. That doesn't guarantee anything. Just ask Karl Malone, who went to the Lakers late in his career, or Charles Barkley, who went from Philly to Phoenix to try to win. He didn't. Then he went from Phoenix to Houston, and it didn't work. But I don't know because he's so financially tight. I think he makes like $40 million to $63 million. So, I don't know. How you got to put together a great package. If Portland's going to take it, you have to have a lot of first-round picks, which OKC has. Miami has a few, and then if Miami would give away, let's say, Tyler Hero, someone lower level, backup guy, Martin maybe, Caleb Martin, and a couple of first rounders, that's something that can help your team and worthwhile. But if they want Tyler Hero and Duncan and 5 first-round picks, it's probably not doable for Miami. But I mean, there's very few guys in the league that can do stuff like that and shoot from the logo. With he has range like Steph Curry, but he's bigger. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, that's ridiculous right there. We used to tell those guys, hey, when you start guarding him? When he gets out of his car coming to the arena, that's when you start guarding him. But
that is just ridiculous range.
It is, and but that's only part because he has a nice pull-up game. He can get to the basket, So it's going to be interesting. I don't know if it can happen before training camp because it didn't happen with the frenzy that went on with the free agency because everybody's making moves and. I don't think Terrence. I don't think he's going to San Antonio because they're building pretty much. They're building around Wembanyama. To bring them in, they could be a playoff team right away, not a contender, because they don't have enough good players. So I think that would be a long shot. Not that he wouldn't want to go there to play for Pop, maybe help Wembanyama around, but to me, if you look at their roster, they don't have enough teams. They don't have enough to be a mid-range or mid-level playoff teams. So I don't know why.
Especially in the West.
Yeah, he's in Portland right now. So he's in the same situation. He'd be in the same situation. So, it's going to be interesting. I mean, everybody's floating around, Harden for him and maybe throw a third team in there to make some first-round picks work and stuff and maybe have a third team that wants to get money off their salary cap. That could happen, but tell you what, there's a lot of brains smarter than me in these NBA front offices that are trying to figure out a way to do it.
Do you think he'll be moved, Mo?
50-50. I think if he got in a great situation where Portland feels good that they got enough back for him and the team didn't have to give enough for him, there's a good chance. But that situation, out of the 30 or 29 NBA teams, without Portland being involved, the 29, there's only probably 2 or 3 that can even make that happen.
Yeah. And I know Chauncey Billups is like, please, let's not get this guy away from draft picks because I'll be around the.
No, and I don't think they will. They have to get at least 1 legit player, maybe 2, and then first rounders. And then, if I'm them and I do that, then I'm thinking, you know what? Maybe we could pull off a Sacramento this year. Maybe we could play like Sacramento and make a nice run at this thing. If we do that.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of making runs, I guess we'll have a mid-season run because for the first time, the NBA is going to have an in-season tournament. The NBA Cup. Let me just play this.
First ever in-season. All right, everybody, the NBA first ever in-season tournament is now official. But how does it work? Like this. First up is group play. All 30 teams will be split into 6 groups. 3 from the East, 3 from the West, with a random draw based on last year's regular season records. Each team in a group plays each other one time, a total of 4 games, 2 at home, 2 on the road.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
Now, those games happen Tuesdays and Fridays in November, so set your calendar. Basically, these regular season NBA games also count as tournament games. Now, in each group, the team with the best group play record after those 4 games, they're moving on. The team with the next best record in each conference, those 2 are the wild cards. Always watch out for the wild cards. Now, we get to the knockout round. 8 teams, single elimination, and you know what that means. Win and move on, or lose, and you're out. And the last 4 teams standing, guess what? You're headed to Vegas, baby. That's right. In Las Vegas, the semifinal battles will get us to the championship game on December 9th. 2 teams in a winner-take-all final to be named champion and be awarded the first ever NBA Cup. Come on now. Look, there's a lot to look forward to this season. Players on new teams, rookies new to the league, and teams just looking to make some noise. And the NBA in-season tournament is going to be a can't-miss, must-see, high-stakes, high-level competition. And if you're a hoops head just like me, I promise you, you're going to love it.
Are we going to love it, Mo? That was Richard Jefferson explaining it to us.
And actually, he did a pretty good job. I mean, it's pretty complicated for U.S. basketball fans, but it's not complicated for international fans. That's what they do all the time over in Europe. You play in cups, and different records, and the bracketing and everything is like the World Cup or the Olympics. So when you go to the Olympics, everything is in pool play until you get to the medal rounds, and that's exactly what they're doing. So to explain it a little better, or the same. So you win your pool, you go on to the next round, and then the 2 best teams that have the best records. And then you play those, then you go to the Final Four, and you come here to Vegas, and in the Final Four, it's just like the Final Four in college, one and done. And the money wise is, if you make it to Vegas, each player makes $50,000. If you win the first game in Vegas, each player makes $100,000. If you get to the championship game and you lose it, you make $200,000 per player, and if you win the championship, you get $500,000. Each player does. That's good money. So players are going to be interested in doing it. It gives some excitement to the NBA because guess what? How many times, Ricky, have you heard the NBA regular season doesn't mean anything? They only play hard in the playoffs and blah, blah, blah. Well, it gives the NBA something in December, and then in February they have the All-Star game. So it gives them something early on to look forward to. And guess what else it does? It gives the NBA another money-making proposition. They're going to sell more advertising, they're going to get more sponsorship, and they're probably going to do a separate TV deal for the tournament in Vegas.
Go ahead, Mo.
The games that they played before Vegas are all regular season games. They're not extra games. So they're regular season games that are picked out to be the in-season tournament. So they're not adding all these games. They are adding a few, and then so that's okay. Then if I was NBA team, I really wanted to make this happen. You need to talk to somebody like me, like Chris Finch, like Nick Nurse, like guys that have done this before. Because here's a little secret for you: you play in pool play, and only one team moves on. However, even if you don't win your pool, you have a chance to be one of those other 2 teams. And you do that in record-wise, but guess what? At that point, everybody in the 7th and 8th spot have the same record probably. That's what they have. So the next thing is aggregate score. So that means the team that scores the most points in their pool gets that spot. So you're in a game, and you're down, you're losing by 10. You want to try to win the game, but you want to lose by as least you can. Or if you're winning a game and you're up by 20, you want to win by 30 because those extra points might get you into the rest of the plan. So there's a little tip for you.
So not taking your foot off the pedal.
No, and I bet we lost. We didn't go in the 2012 Olympics in London. Great Britain didn't go because a team that was in a different pool outscored us total wise in 3 games by 3 points, and they went to the medal round and we did not. So that's that kind of twist.
Wow.
I think the players will have a little interest at least the first year. I think fans, I will, because it's here in Vegas, right? Gives me another something to go to probably if I get free tickets, and because I'm not paying. But I
Mo,
think
when the last time you paid for an NBA game? Never.
Never. Yeah. Or college, or but I mean, I think Adam Silver has been talking about this for 2 or 3 years now, because guess what? Most of the world knows this format because they play with, in Italy and Spain and this is the format they use, and this is what FIBA uses to qualify. So they all know this formula, and Adam Silver has been looking at this because now NBA is a global game. There's fans all over the continent, all over the world. So this is kind of that finally coming to tuition.
But does this tournament take some of the luster off the finals?
No, not at all. It's totally separate. I mean, shoot, the team that wins the in-season tournament might not even make the playoffs.
Okay.
Because the only games you're counting are in November. There's only like 5. I mean, you can have a team that gets on a run and win this thing, and then has injuries or is not very good, and they don't even make the playoffs in the real at the end of the season. So no, it's not going to affect that. It's going to be another little trophy you can have for the players. It could be a nice chunk of money, and guess what? A weekend here in beautiful Las Vegas.
And I got two questions for you on that. Does that address some of the sitting star players, and are you not surprised it's going to Vegas? Then isn't this another signal that the NBA is coming there full time at some point soon?
It's definitely a signal that the NBA is coming here in the next 3 years. Absolutely, no question about it. WNBA, the Aces are here. G League, Ignite are here. The NBA All-Star Game, the Summer League is here. NBA All-Star Game has been here. And this is like the cherry on top of an NBA team coming here. I think the NBA and the new CBA agreement has touched on the load management problems in the past that, if you don't play 65 or more games, you don't qualify for all NBA or all the awards, MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, 6th Man of the Year. If you don't play 65 or more games, you don't qualify for that. I don't think this will have anything to do with that because, it's only a month and it's only like 6 or 7 games. So you're not. If I'm load management, the Joker, and his schedule is he's getting, because these games are on Tuesday, Friday. I think he's getting Tuesday off. I'm not playing him to get in the in-season tournament. He's just going to get the night off anyway.
He's going to get the night. Hey, what's happening, Jared? Jared's checking in. I'm not sure why the NBA will do it. In-season tournaments will put more wear and tear on their bodies for teams that make a deep playoff run. That's kind of what you're addressing right now, Mo.
Yeah, Jared, it really won't, because the pool play games are regular season games that they're going to play anyway. So if you win this thing, you'll play 1 to 3 more games. It's a little bit, but it's not much, and it's in November, so in early December. So I don't think it'll affect on. It is interesting that NBA is adding games instead of subtracting like most players want, but I'm telling you, Jared, it's money. It's money. So the more TV money for the tournament, more sponsorship for the in-season tournament. So that's what the NBA is about.
Jared said, I'll be in Vegas next Thursday. I wish I could have made it out to see some of the Summer League games. Have a good time out there, Jared. And if you go broke at the slots, call me. I'll get Mo to come pick you up, man.
No, don't do that. If you win at the slots, I'll come celebrate with you. and here's a Jared, stay inside. It's hot here, man. Stay in the air conditioner.
Be warm. Knowing Jared, he'll probably go for a run. He's in great shape. He'll be out there running and that stuff. Our good friend Steve is checking in. Hi guys.
Hey Steve.
$100 fine. I'm late.
Well, you can pay it forward and give some money for the slots.
Hey, Steve says, what do you think about Chet Holmgren? He's had a nice summer league.
Yeah, I saw him play. I didn't see him play, but I saw him play on TV in Salt Lake City. Had some good games. He's facing the same thing that Wembanyama is. He's really skinny. He's put on some weight, but he can shoot. He's got a good touch. It's going to be interesting to see how he does this season at OKC because they have a very, very young team, very, very talented team that actually could do some damage and make the playoffs this year.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Jared will be at the Grand Canyon family reunion. Yeah, stay indoors, brother, and have a great time out there, Jared. And man, thank you so much for checking in with us, bro.
I'll tell you what Chet Holmgren impressed me with his block shots. He's going up and blocking dunks with both hands, and that's a skill that every team needs, a rim protector, and he's turning into that. That's good to see.
Yeah, I mean OKC, and don't forget, Mo, OKC has $1 million draft picks.
Yep, they got 700,000 draft picks.
So let's look at some of these players. This is, I believe this is Brandon Miller had a big game, 6 points. He was the number 3 pick in the draft, I believe.
Yeah, I saw him play. I don't know if it was this game or not. It might have been. I think I played because he was playing against Scoot, I think. He struggled in Salt Lake City. He looked really bad. Couldn't guard anybody. He had 8 fouls in one game. Couldn't guard the pick and roll. But he's getting his feet under him, his legs under him, and he's being more aggressive like this and playing better, solid defense. He's feeling his way in. I mean, he's 6'7", 6'8". He wasn't as big as I thought he was. Didn't shoot the 3 as well as I thought he did, but he's got a prototypical NBA 3-and-D body. So and he's come along. He'll improve as the season goes on, like all of them.
Yeah, and like all of them, he's going to be up and down, right?
Yep. Yeah.
And here's Scoot Henderson.
Yeah. So Scoot was a second pick in the draft, which freaked out a lot of people because he's a point guard, just like Damian Lillard, and they picked him anyway. Now, not that they couldn't play together, they can. Scoot is more of a distributor, a really strong body. You can see it there. You get to the basket, really good passer. He can finish. His big question mark about him was his jump shot, and I watched him play on Friday. He's definitely a great passer just like that. And he made 2 threes that impressed me, and he did it pretty nonchalantly. So I believe he's worked on his shot, which is what he needed to do, so he doesn't become a Westbrook, so he can actually shoot. And I think he's done that, and he showed that to me in the game I saw on Friday for sure.
Yeah, that's.
But he's a prototypical point guard. Pass first, can finish. Defensively struggles a little bit against the quicker guards that he's going to face, but he'll get used to it. Pretty physical player too. Unfortunately, I think he hurt his shoulder at the end of that game, so I don't know if he's played again in the summer league. So I hope that's not an ongoing thing, because when I saw him playing with the G League Ignite here in Vegas against Wembanyama's team, he also hurt his shoulder and didn't play in the second game. So I hope that's not something that's reoccurring.
Hey Mo, in the NBA, in the NFL, it's unquestionably the most important player on the team is the quarterback. If you got Patrick Mahomes, you can put him on almost any roster, and they become at least a threat to make the playoff. He can elevate a team that well. Is it a position in the NBA? Is there a most valuable position in the NBA now?
That's hard to say. I mean, but Ricky, you can have Patrick Mahomes and your offensive line sucks, and you won't win any games. Or you don't have some running back that can run or receivers that can catch, but he is the hub of it for sure.
Yeah,
In the NBA, it used to be, I would think, the point guard, but not so anymore because non-point guards have the ball in their hands a lot, like LeBron James. He's not a point guard, but he has the ball in his hands, point forward, I guess. So who's the most important player for the Denver Nuggets? It's the Joker. So I think one player can really elevate your team and your game, but you can't win a championship unless you have a deep team, at least 7 or 8 deep, like the Denver Nuggets had, that all the pieces fit. You have some decent guards and some wings and some bigs, and everything fits together. It used to be point guard, but I don't think it's that anymore because of the versatility of all these players now.
yeah, yeah. I was wondering if you were going to say that. Steve checks in and says the Bucks signed their second round pick to the highest salary ever. Now I got to check on who their second round pick is. Then he also wants to know your thoughts on the Washington Wizards and what they've done. They traded for Jordan Poole. They got Kyle Kuzma on the roster, and
yeah, I mean the Wizards had a fire sale, right?
yeah, they hadn't done
They
much.
had a deal. They had a fire sale, and they got Poole back, and we can see who Poole. 2 years ago, Poole, like him. Last year's Poole, not so much. They're gonna be a lower level team in that division. But as far as the Bucks, I mean, the second round pick, paying him what I don't even know who it is. He's not gonna play much. I mean, the biggest thing they did was re-sign Lopez and Middleton. Period. End of story. Even though they had to bring in, Lopez's brother, the not so good Lopez, but it's worth it to get the Brook Lopez. But they signed those two, and that's the biggest thing. And they didn't lose any. Portis is still there, and Holiday's still there, and Allen's still there. So I like what they did. The Wizards pretty much shuffled the deck, got younger, got more draft picks, dumped some salary, but they didn't get any better.
The Bucks, their second round pick, 58th in the draft, was Chris Livingston, 6'6", 219 pounds, from the UK. And
I wish it was the Cliff Livingston that played in the 80s.
Yeah,
I actually saw him at the Retired Players Association. He's a little heavier, but I bet he's probably a little better than this Livingston. I don't know.
That's got to be pretty good seeing some of the old guys at Summer League, because you're a member of the NBA Retired Players Association. Did you guys had a chance to get together and do anything?
Yeah, they had a golf tournament. They had an event at Top Golf. We went to the game Summer League together. Then we had a cocktail party at the club at the Cosmo, where they played only 70s and 80s music, and you saw some old broken down dudes trying to dance out there and relive their history. It's great because then you get to sit down, with players, old players like. And talk to them and relay. And Dr. J told me, years ago, he said, you know what, Paul, the older I get, the better I was. And that's true. Our stories become bigger, and we just laughed and told stories on each other. And, it's good. It's a small fraternity. There's only, a few thousand of us that have played in the NBA for any extended period of time. And, quite frankly, We lose a lot of our
Really?
teammates and our opponent. Daryl Dawkins or Mark Eaton or Jack Haley and it kind of brings us closer together, and we kind of look out for each other. How you take care of yourself. They actually have testing here at the Retired Players Association. They test your limbs, they test your heart, they test your breathing. They do it for free because we got to keep up on that. So it's all that combination coming together.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, yeah. So Mo, free agency. I mean, we still got some guys out there. Your guy, Christian Wood, is still out there.
Yeah.
But things are kind of settling in. Your thoughts on free agency, and did you see any team get significantly better?
Maybe here's a team for you. That remember we talked about earlier in the season about the Cleveland Cavaliers, how they had a great backcourt with Garland and Mitchell, and they have young, long, athletic players, and they added Strus, a shooter, and Levert, a guard, with experience. And they still have Ricky Rubio, who is hurt, and he'll be coming back. So they might be adding with Strus, who was in the finals this year and is a three-point shooter. Levert, who was a hot free agent a few years ago, and then Rubio may be coming back. They could make a little damage in the East, but let's face it, it's the same. It's the same. Most of the free agents that were out there re-signed with their teams. So, if you're talking the East, you're talking Boston, Milwaukee, and Philly, and maybe Miami, but Miami's looking at making a move because they need a legitimate big. And then you look at other teams like your Detroit Pistons, who I think picked up Joe Harris. They picked up Wiseman. They drafted Ausar Thompson, and who's a really good rookie I saw play. Actually sat with his grandmother here at the Summer League. And then Sasser from Houston, who's a good rookie. So
and they signed Monte Morris, a good, solid veteran guard.
And they have some injury players coming back. So I look at the Cavs and the Pistons of maybe making some noise, just like the Sacramento Kings did in the West early. I can see them making noise, but Boston, Milwaukee, I think Boston got better with Porzingis, even when they gave up Smart, and he's a heart and soul, but they needed a big. You can't win a championship with Horford as your center. You can as your backup center, and now Porzingis is there. Milwaukee re-signed everything. Philly is still trying to see what they're going to do with Harden. If they can do some damage with Harden, and they can keep Embiid, Harris, Maxey, Tucker, they've added Beverly. If they can get another player or two there, they're going to be up there. But those are the teams I see in the East. The same ones, and then Cavs and Detroit as maybe some dark horses.
Hey Mo, Porzingis, he almost averaged 2 blocks a game. I mean, people don't think of him as a great. I'm not saying he's a great shot blocker, but I bet you Horford wasn't getting that.
No, it wasn't close, and he's still. I think he's still 32. He's still in his prime. He's athletic. He can spread the floor, shoot the three, just like Horford. He's a better rebounder and rim protector than Horford. And now Horford comes off the bench, which is a great asset to have. And I think he averaged 19 and a half and 12 rebounds a game last year.
Yeah, he did.
Like double-double. So, they had to give up. You have to give up something good to get something. And that's a position they needed, right? They have the wing covered. They needed a big to compete in the East with Embiid and Lopez and Giannis and Portis. And if Denver does make it to the finals again, you got to have somebody to deal with the Joker.
Steve says the Pistons, I thought, would have 10 more wins last season. Maybe a new coach would help. Well, what really helped is having Kay Cunningham back.
Yeah, they were hurt. They had injuries. Kay Cunningham was hurt, so they had injuries. That was the best ability in the NBA is availability.
It would be critical for the Pistons to start off strong. Nothing worse than 13-7 the first 20 games. The Pistons' problem was start the season slow and then get the momentum to be above 500 by season's end.
So you want the Pistons to get to the in-season Final Four here in Las Vegas. That will mean they have a good start.
That'll be good for young teams trying to learn to, get some experience in playoff basketball. Although I'm sure that's not going to be anything like.
Yeah, but when you look at the roster, they have Kate Cunningham, a couple other people making 10, 15 mil, but you have most of their rosters making 2 million, 3 million. So winning 500,000 is a big deal.
Yeah, you're right. So they'll be hungry for sure. And they got young Jalen Duran, who's a good young player coming along. Well, the West is where the strength of the NBA is in the West. You got the world champions out there. Memphis hadn't really done much.
The Ja Morant.
Yeah, they're not gonna have Ja Morant for 25 games.
So they won't win the in-season tournament.
They won't win the season tournament for sure. But you got teams making moves there in the West. Sacramento, Phoenix made a big trade for Bradley Beal. The Clippers have made moves. The Lakers have made a lot of moves. Golden State added Chris Paul. Minnesota, New Orleans. 9 teams finished above 500 over there, Mo.
I mean, the Lakers
last year.
Yeah, the Lakers did they helped themselves. They have LeBron and AD availability again. They re-signed D'Angelo Russell. Not really thrilled with him. He played okay during the season. They re-signed Hachimura and Reeves. They had to do that. They have Vanderbilt and Cam Reddish off the bench. And then they added a bigger player than people think that Denver lost, right? Or Denver or Miami, I can't remember. Gabe Vincent.
And Denver lost Bruce Brown.
Yeah. But I mean, so you're looking at Lakers, if they can add a big to their roster that can bulk up a little bit, they have a shot. Denver, I think they lost, and they're thin anyway, so they're betting on Christian Brown to come through, but they picked up Reggie Jackson, I think. But you're looking at the Joker, Murray, Porter Jr., Gordon, Caldwell Pope. That's 5 guys. Who else? Who else do you got? Reggie Jackson, Christian Brown. That's it. So, you're looking at the Warriors that re-signed Draymond Green, which was huge for them, I think. So, they went their way. They finally decided to make a move with Poole because Poole and Draymond Green you're not going to win a championship with both of them. That punch affected them. So you're looking at Curry, Clay, Draymond Green, Wiggins, Chris Paul, Looney, Peyton II, Kuminga's a question mark, and they're looking at signing Saric, who's a 6'10" big player. So, they're back in it right now. Suns, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go, Mo.
And the Suns added Beal. They added Beal, one of the best players in the league, without giving up Durant, Booker, or Ayton. So they have a big 4 now. The problem is they got to keep Ayton happy and give him some shots, and they got Eric Gordon and they got Cameron Payne. So, they're right there. Sacramento has added a couple players, to their roster. They'll be interesting. The Clippers are still the Clippers, don't know what they're going to do. I mean, Paul George, Kawhi, they added Norman Powell, who's a really good player, Zubac, Plumlee, Westbrook signed for a minimum to stay there. Terrence Mann, Marcus Morris, they should be better, but we'll see. And OKC has their young group that they added Oladipo to. So so it's going to be another wild, wild west. Dallas decide to re-sign Kyrie Irving, which I think will crush them. And I think they might not make the playoffs again.
Man, Steve has a good point here with Minnesota. What are they doing?
Well, they bet the farm on Rudy Gobert, and it didn't work. But now they're stuck. They gave away 2 key players and draft picks, and gobbled up his salary. So Anthony Edwards just signed $260 million deal.
$60 million.
So I watched their game. I sat with Chris Finch, their head coach, a little bit, and he's on the hot seat. He knows it. When you say, that's why I say you need to sign the right pieces. If you sign the same pieces, you got Karl Anthony Towns, who's a 7-foot guy that plays on perimeter, but he's still a 7-foot guy, struggles to guard pick and rolls. And you add Rudy Gobert, who's a 7-foot guy, struggles to guard pick and rolls. You got 2 guys making, $80 million. They're the same guy, different. They're not the same guy. Rudy's a defensive guy, and Towns is an offensive guy who says he's one of the top players in the league, but he hasn't won anything. I don't know why he said that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens this year.
Yeah, I mean the West, golly, it's going to be a lot of fun. Mo, we have ran through this hour. Any final thoughts?
No, I mean, even though it's the so-called dead season of basketball, at least NBA-wise, you still have the summer leagues going on. It's exciting. Then you have Team USA, who's training here in Las Vegas. That's going to compete in the World Championships. They're sending their B team. Because we've already qualified for the Olympics. So they're sending their B team, which is young guys that are looking to get a chance to be the future of our Olympic teams. So that's going to be interesting to watch. People should watch other basketball. Watch the World Cup. Watch some European games. You can find them everywhere. It's really exciting basketball, but it's exciting. As silly as I say it is, the in-season tournament here in Las Vegas is kind of a cool deal. We're just kind of waiting to see who's going to own the Las Vegas NBA team. And more importantly, what they're going to be called.
Yeah. Giannis had knee surgery, could be out for a while. Now, I've read it's not that serious, but I guess anytime you have surgery.
Well, I think it's sculpted. I think it's cartilage. And I think he's debating whether to play in the Worlds in 2 or 3 weeks. Which if I'm the Bucks, I'm saying you can't play in that. Don't play in that. You should play in that anyway. It's ridiculous. But Steve, I don't think that's serious. I think it's a scope. I think you can probably play in 6 weeks after that, but I think he shouldn't, and he should wait till training camp. So
hey Mo, we went the whole hour and didn't mention James Harden. Is he gonna be a Sixer?
I don't know. I mean, they ended up extending him, right? Or no, I don't know what he's at. I think he's at 47 mil something. I don't think it's a 1-year deal, so he is tradable now. I don't know what you can get for him anymore. Here's what's sad. We're talking about a player who led the league in assists last year, right?
Yeah.
But he's moved. How many times has he moved? OKC to Houston to Nets to Philly. Where is he going next? Does anybody really want him anymore? Which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah. Let's go.
And again, he laid an egg in the playoffs this year, right?
Yeah. Philly will have to decide what they need to do with him before the season starts,
or
maybe before Christmas. When do you?
Well, hey, we have you under contract. You're going to play for us. That's it. And then you decide if you want to pout and demand a trade and not come in. Then we'll start fighting and get some of our money back. But when you look at Philly, if you look at Philly, you're looking at Embiid, Tobias Harris, Maxey, I love, Melton, Tucker, Paul Reed's a good player. He's just added Beverly. You have Harrell. If Harden doesn't show up, you still got a competitive, probably playoff team.
Yeah, with one of the best players in the league.
So when you're a Booker and you're holding a hand like that, you don't fold up 10. You know, you wait it out and play out your hand. Oh, please, Steve. You're killing me. Steve, have you seen the pictures of him? He looks like a pro wrestler now. But we never know if he can play a game.
Hey, well, we're going to get out of here. Thanks. I want to thank everybody for checking in with us and tuning in and liking.
Yeah, thank you, guys. Awesome.
Don't forget, you can hear this show and all our past shows on Believe.com, BLEAV.com. We got next, Paul Mokeski and Rickey Hampton.
Spread the word, guys.
You going out to some more games this week?
No. That would be a no. I'll watch some on ESPN, but I'm gonna spend some time with my family and chill here. Try to stay warm. Try to stay cool, and maybe spend some time in the pool. But it's almost too hot to go in there. But hey, Steve, you guys, thank you for joining.
Appreciate it.
Spread the word, man. Spread the word. Let's get some more people in.
Hey, we'll see you next week. We'll be back at our regular Monday time next week, Mo.
Yep.
Okay. All right. For Big Paul Mokeski, I'm Rickey Hampton. Good night, everybody. Peace.